The opinions expressed on the Brennan Lowe Show do not represent the values of Bristol Broadcast.
You're out of work, Charleston. Time to talk some sports. Excited to be here with you today. That's right. We in the house. No beard today. I shaved the beard off last night, so I might scare you on the live Facebook or over at our YouTube channel. Like I mentioned, we are live on Facebook. You can send our comments over there. Ryan Pritt already was getting at me, said, OMG, the babyface assassin. Appreciate that, man. You can call the show 344-9704. That's 304-9704. Take us to go at 95tosportsfox.com. Tune in app. Simulcast, rsinsports.com. Our podcast up there as well if you ever missed a show live. And today's guest, DK Pittsburgh Sports, Matt Welch will join us at 5:15. We'll get you ready for this bowl game with the Mountaineers. We'll also talk a little basketball. Huggins had some comments in regards to AAU basketball. I want to get Matt Welch's comments on that as well. We'll have our breaking news. We're going to talk about Kiffin taking the job at Florida Atlantic. We had a poll put up on Twitter today, so we'll give you the results for that. The poll on Twitter was, would you rather be the offensive coordinator in Alabama or the head coach at Florida Atlantic? And we'll get to those results as well. Texas, Tom Herman, the buyout, and Houston, and conversations with Texas and Houston. Interesting story there in regards to the buyout. We'll talk about that as well. And we'll continue our conversation with this Jim Harbaugh and the Rams situation. CBSSports.com did an interesting article why Coach Harbaugh would stay in Michigan. Also another article that why L.A. needs a guy like Harbaugh in town. And then, of course, win our show with our Let's Get Weird news. And it's going to get weird. I promise you that. Because Matlock, let's bring Matlock in.
Yo!
What up, dog?
What is up?
Oh, nothing much.
Same old, same old?
Yeah, just drinking coffee. I couldn't find a cup back in our kitchen, so I'm using somebody's coffee mug. It's clean, I think.
Columbus Zoo.
Yeah.
Nice.
So there's free advertising there on the stream there.
Man, you look weird without a beard. I'll say. I mean, congratulations making it through
Thanks.
November. You know, No Shave November.
Yeah.
Congrats. But, man, you look 16.
It was really no shave the past 5 months. So I told the wife, I was like, this beard is just getting ridiculous. I can't do the beard thing anymore. And she goes, well, shave it off. And I said, okay, well, I thought you liked it, so I don't want to shave it off. But she gave it the go-ahead. And I got one of those nice shavers. My mom got me one for Christmas 2 years ago now. And I could shave my beard off in like 5 seconds with that thing. So
speaking of shavers, where's Bobby at?
Yeah, we want to know where Bobby Johnson is.
Yeah, I've got these fired up. So, where you at, Bobby?
Yeah, Bobby Johnson, we're still waiting for you to take your punishment for losing the high school football bracket challenge here at the Brandon Lowe Show, and he's been a no-show since he lost.
Yep.
His excuse last week was that L.A. took a lot out of him because he went to Los Angeles, I guess, that weekend. He said, after that, every Tuesday will be okay. But I haven't heard from him. I sent him a message today to see if he was going to come up, but no dice. Maybe he'll come a little later. Maybe he's running behind. Maybe he's getting maybe something to draw an eyebrow on. I don't know.
He might be getting a plane ticket to get as far from us as possible.
All right, let's go ahead and get into our breaking news.
It's time for breaking news in sports, but it's still sports and news. From the Brandon Lowe Show newsroom, I'm Brandon Lowe, and here's the news in sports. That's still sports and news.
All right, news is sports. Sports is still news. So start with some local stuff coming from Charleston Gazette Mail. Mingo Central's Jeremy Dillon wins J.R. House Award as state's top quarterback. And we know Jeremy Dillon, he's a multi-athlete, very good basketball player as well. He's already committed to Marshall to play basketball there. Spent some time, Tug Valley, transferred over to Mingo Central. He already won a pair of first-team selections on the defensive side during his 2 years at Tug Valley. So congratulations to Jeremy Dillon. A remarkable season for Mingo Central as well, sending out Coach Kentner with a state title his last year as the coach of that squad. So congratulations, Jeremy Dillon. Let's take a look at the schedule tonight. Top 25 basketball and men's. Number 1 Villanova will take on Temple at 7 p.m. A battle among Philadelphia schools. That'll be interesting. Number 22 Oregon versus Montana. Number 25 Cincinnati takes on Texas Southern at 7 p.m. In the NBA, Memphis at Cleveland, Orlando at Atlanta, Golden State at New Orleans, Minnesota at Chicago, New York at Phoenix, Oklahoma City at Portland is your late West Coast game in the NBA. All right, last night, the Pats defeat the Ravens 30-23. We got our most recent NFL pick'em standings through Week 14 here at the radio station. And Nick, which is Matlock, is now tied with Chris Akers at, 116?
I think so, yes.
Something like that. Not at 116. You guys might be a little higher than that.
I think we were actually closer to 123.
127, I think, is what you have.
Okay.
Because I have 118. I'm sorry. I'm 9 points behind you guys. I'm tied with now Terry Outlaw.
I remember I did this week, I had 12 right teams. So I know I had the highest this week. I tied with someone else, but I had 12 correct. You had like 11 correct, I'm pretty sure, this week?
Yeah, I did pretty good. My two that I got some points on was the Giants and the Packers. I don't think Chris picked the Packers for that. I think he picked the Seahawks.
That's what put me back
which
at
gave
the top,
you a point up to tie.
Yeah.
I took the Browns against the Bengals, which I thought maybe this might be the only shot for the Browns to get their only win of the season against a banged-up Bengals team at Cleveland. Not much of a crowd there if you saw the pictures from that game. But, yeah, I didn't get that one either. The Cardinals almost beat the Fins. I lost that one. This has been kind of the story for me throughout this whole season picking these NFL games. Most of the ones that I've missed has been by 3 points or less. I only lost like maybe 1 or 2 games throughout the season that were really bad picks. So Tom Brady, though, we've talked about this before, and I think this is kind of the way everybody kind of looks at this team. He's kind of like Darth Vader, right? If you want to go Star Wars here.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. Belichick is he's the Emperor.
Ooh.
He's got the hoodie.
Yeah.
Come over to the dark side. And they're just that type of team that everybody just loves to hate because they win so much, the Deflategate. And it's interesting that most people say, Tom Brady, which, by the way, last night, the Ravens boast the best defense in the NFL. 406 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. Without Gronk, okay? His best target at tight end. 406 passing yards, 3 touchdowns. So he basically shredded the NFL's best defense. Now, let's not forget, Tom Brady has not put the Deflategate and the 4-game suspension behind him. This is a guy that has a huge chip on his shoulder. He's a guy that was picked in the 6th round of the NFL draft. This guy is constantly trying to prove himself to not only himself, but everybody else. He's had that chip on his shoulder his entire career. So this is a guy that doesn't forget about things like Deflategate. So you don't want to play the Pats. In the AFC at this point, there's a couple teams, maybe, that might be able to get in the way of the Pats. The NFC, to me, is stronger this year. But I think the Pats, for the most part, not just because of Tom Brady, not just because of what they are historically, definitely should be the favorites to run through the AFC and get to the Super Bowl. We'll see what happens in the NFC. There's a lot of teams in the NFC, for me, that can potentially jump up and get to the Super Bowl. All right, sticking with NFL. NFL reveals 8 teams and matchups for 2017 London games. Saints, Dolphins, Ravens, Jaguars, Vikings, and Browns, Cardinals, and Rams. This is huge. The reason why this is so huge, and they also announced that in Mexico City, the Patriots and Raiders will face each other next year as well. What the NFL is essentially doing is they're taking advantage of parts of the world. In NFL, and I don't think we realize how big the NFL is. It's a huge, huge brand. We talk about it being the largest marketing firm in the entire landscape of the world, basically, at least here in the United States. But there's so many fans in places like Mexico City, London. There's millions and millions of people that the league is trying to appeal to and tap into outside of just here in the United States. And they have accomplished that so far. And they see that. And they see people coming out to games. This is a spectacle because they don't get to see an NFL game week in and week out like these cities in the United States. So this is like kind of a trip to Disneyland for these fans that don't per se get to see these teams in person. So you're just tapping in. Yes.
They're called national, right, though?
Yes.
It's in their name.
National Football League, yes.
We'll have to change that to international?
Maybe.
Food for thought.
Maybe that could be, if they develop a league too. What if they develop some type of league or side league or something like that where they have international teams as well. We may see that later on. All right. Also, stick with the NFL. NFL teams can choose own cancer causes to support next October. As we know, October usually in NFL is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, where they wear pink. Now, the NFL has raised somewhere around $15 million or more for the American Cancer Society through its campaign. A lot of people skeptical about that, kind of against it, saying that the NFL uses it to sell merchandise. So what the NFL has done is essentially put the causes in the players' hands. So it will be Cancer Awareness Month in October, but now the players can pick what they want to support. The team can pick what cancer they want to raise awareness about. I think this is a good deal. I do like the Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I think they should definitely stick with that. I think the NFL should still donate as much money as they can to that research as well. I don't think we should get away from that. But I think this is long overdue. And I've never got on board with this whole uniform policy and things of that sort, much like we saw this past week, My Cause, My Cleats initiative that was passed. Devon Steele of the Texans, he wrote a letter in 2014 to Commissioner Roger Goodell, suggested the month of October should be limited to breast cancer awareness for the NFL. And finally, Goodell, getting to this stuff, has finally passed and finally been a little bit on these rules and allowed this to happen. I think, again, a good move by the NFL. This has been the whole entire thing everybody's been pushing on with the NFL. Bend a little bit. Let the players have a little bit of voice. If you want the players to be role models and stand for things bigger than what they are, let them have the freedom and voice to do it. Don't limit them to what you think is the right thing to do. That's a great move by the NFL. And finally, Syracuse to wear sneakers honoring Pearl Washington against Georgetown this Saturday. These two teams were former Big East rivals. I watched recently this past weekend, which is a wonderful 30 for 30. And it's about the Big East, what the Big East used to be. I think it's like the rise of the Big East or whatever, and it shows what the Big East did for the northeastern side of the United States. When we had these basketball conferences, you just had the Pac-10, the ACC, the SEC, and the Big Ten. Everybody got together, made this huge conference in the northeastern part of the United States that we now know as the Big East Conference, which eventually football kind of pushed that to the next level as well. Syracuse and Georgetown, there's only so many games in college basketball that can rival this rival game. So they're going to honor Pearl Washington, who to me is ambassador to the Big East, not only the Big East, but college basketball. This guy was a remarkable player. He died in April. He was 52. So they're going to honor him with their sneakers. They're going to wear some nice Nike sneakers. Got 31 and Pearl in the tongue. Very nice looking shoes. They've been wearing those Pearl warm-up shirts since January. I just think this is a nice tribute. And what a game to do it in, too, because you got Georgetown. So I just think it's a wonderful thing. This is the type of thing. So when I was watching that 30 for 30, with all this conference realignment and expansions and things of that sort where regions and geographical areas don't matter per se anymore with what conference you're in, this is the type of stuff we miss. This type of game between rivals. This is the type of stuff West Virginia fans keep talking about. Where's the Pitt game? Where's the Vol Tech game? Where's these games at anymore? It's great we're in the Big 12, but I want to see this more. And we still have Maryland on schedule, but I'd rather see Pitt, Vol Tech, teams like that. So it's great that basketball has kind of retained some of that those games of rivals, even though conferences have changed. Teams have changed conferences. All right, let's take a break. When we come back, we should have DK Pittsburgh Sports' Matt Welch talk some Mountaineer football, and I want to get to, if he saw this, Huggins' comments in regards to AAU basketball, how college basketball has evolved into a totally different type of sport compared to years past, even when I was playing basketball. You call the show 344-9704. Back up to this, Brandon Lowe Show, 95 to Sports Fox.
You're
listening to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox. Be a part of the show. Let the Valley hear your opinion.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
Or the top sports stories locally or nationally on The Brandon Lowe Show. Call 304-344-9704.
Lunch buffet at Eagle's Nest Restaurant has been so popular that we've added Thursdays to the lineup, giving you another day to enjoy lunch at this beautifully decorated restaurant at Little Creek Golf Course. Choose a dish from the chef's special menu each day or enjoy the lunch buffet from noon to 2 p.m. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Open to the public. Eagle's Nest Restaurant at Little Creek Golf Course in South Charleston. Someplace special. Search online or call for information and reservations.
This is JT the Brick with Tom Looney.
There was a fight in the upper deck of the Raiders-Chiefs game. Is there anybody out there who doesn't go to football games anymore because of fights? Are you staying away with your family because you're worried about violence at a football game? I don't see fights, and I go to Raider games every other weekend because there's a cop everywhere. Are you afraid to go to games because of fights, or is it no big deal?
This is JT the Brick with Tom Looney.
Nights at 8 on 95 The Sports Fox.
It's Jason Smith.
If it's almost a sport, we've got it here.
If you said to any team in the NFL, take your pick of any Jets quarterback, 31 other teams would say, yeah, I don't know that we want any of those guys. The Jets, we have had in my lifetime, we had Testaverde in 98, Pennington for 2002, and Brett Favre for 9 games in 2008. And that's it.
It's Jason Smith.
Nights at 10 on 95 The Sports Fox.
Follow the show on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. You can also listen to The Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
All right, welcome back. Brandon Lowe Show, 95 The Sports Fox. Take us to go at 95thesportsfox.com. TuneIn app and simulcast or at sports.com. 344-9704 to get a hold of us in studio. And let's bring on our guest, DK Pittsburgh Sports, Matt Welch. What's up, brother?
Not much, man. How are you guys doing?
Good, dude. I want to jump into this. Obviously, Mountaineers getting into 10 wins. The regular season headed to the Russell Athletic Bowl against the Kings of Miami. And we'll get to that bowl game here shortly. But outside of all that, multiple players landing on multiple lists as far as All-American list.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, a lot of players just landed on this list. A lot of recognition for those guys. A lot of people were talking about Rasul Douglas being left off as Defensive Player of the Year in the Big 12. And I'm kind of in that camp, too. I can't really see anyone else in the Big 12 being better than him on the defensive side of the ball, and but at the same time, yeah, a lot of guys getting recognition. Tarolowski, obviously, among those guys. Kyle Bosch on the list, well-deserved. Justin Crawford, Newcomer of the Year on offense. Well-deserved, good recognition. 10 wins, obviously a good year.
Let's jump over to this history between Miami and West Virginia. Obviously, West Virginia fans well aware of a lot of this history. And, you look at the all-time series record, 3-16 against the Canes. But, this is obviously a different Miami program when West Virginia was playing them at their prime in the Big East.
Yeah, I mean, Miami really hasn't been good, or hasn't been great, I should say. They've been pretty good. Hasn't been great since they joined the ACC. They really fell off in terms of their national prominence. Had a few bad seasons there in the ACC. But, yeah, the history goes back, obviously, to the Big East when Miami pretty much kind of owned everything. They were kicking butt in the conference, then nationally-wise, too. I mean, when you look back at that era, you definitely think of Miami football.
You go and look at Mark Richt, who comes over from Georgia to his home. He calls it at Miami, where he spent time and played and all that good stuff. And you look at how they fared so far this season. They started out great. Now, their non-conference portion of the schedule wasn't tremendous. I mean, they had Florida A&M, FAU, Appalachian State. So, not really a great non-conference schedule. But then they're sitting at 4-0 with a win over Georgia in Atlanta. But then they lose to Florida State. They lose to a couple teams here and there. North Carolina, I believe, Va Tech, and then they allow Notre Dame to win at the end of the game. But then they finished strong. They beat Pitt. They defeated they also which Pitt's a team that beat Penn State Clemson. But then they went against Virginia, NC State. They went against Duke. So it was a weird up and down kind of season for Miami.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing to look at with them is obviously how they're playing right now. That's been a big theme for teams. Just look at what the selection committee says. I mean, they talk about how you're playing right now, and Miami's one of those teams that's pretty hot. Those last 4 wins all came by at least 2 touchdowns. They got their offense clicking, got everything figured out. It's going to be fun, I think, to put that offense against what West Virginia's defense has been able to do. But Miami's defense hasn't been no slouch either. I mean, if you look at what they've been able to do in the ACC, and depending on how you want to rank that up against the Big 12 offenses, their defense is actually better than West Virginia's in terms of numbers. But then, of course, all that's relative when you start comparing things. But it looks like a good matchup. I'm still not sure how West Virginia comes in as the underdog. But in terms of bowl games and how West Virginia's fared in those, being the underdog probably isn't too much of a bad thing.
I haven't got a chance to talk to you about this, and obviously we had multiple conversations throughout the year about this, but Dana Holgorsen getting that 5-year extension out to 2021 starting at the beginning of January, or somewhere around that, January 17th, something like that. But you look at this, Dana Holgorsen's quietly moved up kind of the wins list. Now, he hasn't had a tremendous conference record and all that good stuff in the Big 12, and obviously this has been his best season since joining the conference, but you look at Holgorsen, 46 wins. He's 4th all-time at W coaches. Is that something we could look at and go, well, that's great, or is it because the coaches ahead of him kind of had a long tenure?
I think it's good. I would still put him among the list of guys who are just going to keep improving. I mean, he's shown that he's dedicated to the university. Obviously, he wanted that contract extension. And Shane Lyons believed in him enough to give him that. So at the end of the day, he's put together wins. He's one of a handful of coaches to even get to 10 wins in a season, including postseason games. So I don't think you can take anything away from him yet. I know he had that 4-8 season, but you look back at what Rich Rodriguez was able to do here, and I mean, even he wasn't able to get away from having a bad season. So people can focus on that all they want, but I think at the end of the day, people are going to look back and think Dana Holgorsen was pretty dang good here so far.
You look at both these teams, West Virginia and Miami, coming into this Russell Athletic Bowl, and both teams seem very similar on offense. Both teams kind of have a balance of pass and a rushing attack.
Yeah, I think both teams just kind of take what the defense gives them, and that's obviously been what West Virginia's been able to do this year. I'm not sure that bodes well for Miami in this one, considering the fact that you really have no idea what Tony Gibson's defense is going to give you. But in terms of offensive identity, yeah, I mean, both teams have really just been able to hurt teams with both sides of the football, or both aspects of the offensive side of the football, whenever they really want to. I mean, they've got a running back who finished 4th in the ACC with over 1,000 yards, a quarterback who threw for 3,000 yards and over 20 touchdowns. So they don't turn the ball over very often either. So that'll be something to pay attention to, but it should be fun all around.
I think it's you mentioned Tony Gibson and some of the packages he may throw at them, and you may see a lot of blitzes in this because Miami's had trouble with their offensive line. Even though they've been able to make plays on offense, as we mentioned with the rushing attack and making plays in the passing game, their offensive line at times have been shaky.
Yeah, and I definitely think that plays a factor into things. Gibby is the type of guy who's definitely going to take advantage of that. He's smart enough to figure that out. And he's also smart enough to know that it's not going to happen with just his 3 down linemen. I mean, he's a guy who obviously loves to blitz from anywhere. And I think he found a kind of a hidden weapon last time out with Marvin Gross. And I think he'll definitely be involved in what the defense is able to do against Miami, whether Kaiser White is healthy or not. So definitely look for a lot of pressure from that defense. Look for guys on the edge to keep the running back in check. If you can keep their running back in the backfield, stop them, or at least keep them to 1 or 2 yards of carry, it's going to put a lot of pressure on that quarterback, and I'm not sure Miami's going to be able to keep up with it.
Only Georgia Tech and Vol Tech have rushed for more than 200 yards against Miami, and we've seen our guys, multiple guys in the backfield, whether it's Crawford, Kenny McCoy, and you saw Martell Penaway go off. Do you see the Mountaineers being the 3rd team to rush for over 200 yards since bowl game?
Yeah, I can see that being possible. I also see Skyler kind of wanting to go out on top and just wanting to air it out some. I know he's a a big leader in terms of what kind of plays are called and what kind of plays are ran, things like that. But I think at the end of the day, it's going to come down to that rushing game. I mean, it has all year. The run game sets up the pass so much, and at the same time, it's really effective. I mean, they've been able to plug in whoever they want. You're going to have Tyler Orlovsky out there who's also going to want to go out on top, and when you have him wanting to go out on top, that means a whole lot of inside zone, especially if you ask him. So I think the run game is going to get clicking. I know Coach Sider is still wanting to get all those running backs on the field at the same time, and what better game to do it than the final one of the year, right?
Certainly. I want to get your favorite Miami, West Virginia moment.
Is there any other moment besides Quincy Wilson's run? I mean, I'm not sure that any other moment exists. I mean, if you look on social media, that's all you've seen for the past week now. But that's tough to beat. I mean, he outruns and runs over 4 future NFL players, guys who very well may end up in the Hall of Fame one day. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't get any much better than that. It could have gotten better, I guess, if they would have won that one.
Yeah,
that would have. That's what people often forget about is that they end up losing with about 2 minutes left. So, but yeah, Quincy, great dude to begin with. Even better to have that hype video that's kind of let off its fair share of WVU intro videos over the years as well.
Yeah, I certainly agree. And we've had Quincy on the show, and like you mentioned, he's a great dude. I guess some people might say maybe when Walker ran in '93 for that touchdown, but because that sealed it. But it wasn't as all-y, I guess, as Quincy Wilson's run, because he, like you mentioned, he ran over 4 guys and went on to the NFL. So certainly agree with the Quincy Wilson.
Yeah, and I was also only 3 years old when that previous play happened, so that kind of has a lot to do with it. Actually, the Quincy Wilson run came before I was actually a fan. So when I first started getting into the WVU football as a fan before I went to college and things like that, I was in middle school, and that was actually one of the plays that my best friend showed me before the first football game I went to. So it kind of has a special memory to me to kind of kickstart my experience with WVU. And plus I was a running back in high school, so as a running back, it doesn't get much better than Quincy Wilson.
Plus the call in it. I think the call made it amazing too.
Yeah, no doubt. That definitely has a lot to do with it. There's that one, and then the call, one of the major Harris calls that go out there. There's plenty of those that get you excited too. So, yeah, I think that definitely has a lot to do with it too.
I want to get last thoughts here. Switch over to basketball. And I know you haven't really had a chance to really kind of pay attention to the basketball team right now. But I don't know if you saw this, Huggins' comments in regards to AAU basketball and what college basketball's kind of developed into. Obviously, we've seen a lot of more athletes and bigger guys and guys running faster, but not a lot of team ball. And he puts it like, AAU ball, you can go get some fries and a burger and everything, and losing doesn't really matter. But you used to have kids on the playground playing basketball. Like when I played basketball, that's what we did. We played pickup games. If you lost, you sat out 3 or 4 games. You kind of learned if you want to stay on the court, you don't lose. And AAU basketball, you got all these sponsorships, Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, and things of that sort. Put a mixtape together, put on YouTube, might get recruited. Do you like Huggins' comments in regards to where college basketball is going?
Yeah, I'm all for what Coach Huggins said. I mean, the same thing with AAU ball. I mean, a lot of it is pay to play. So a lot of times you don't get to see those kids who can't afford to play AAU basketball, and a lot of times those are the kids that you want on your team, not only for the fact that that's typically who ends up becoming good, but the fact that you look at their mentality of things. They've had to fight for everything that they have. They don't come from very much. But yeah, the playground mentality, like you said, I mean, no one wants to go spend a day on the blacktop and sit out 4 or 5 games and wait for a team ahead of them to lose so they can get in. So that's where you really find that winning mentality. That's why Huggins, I think, has liked recruiting a lot of guys from Brooklyn. He talked about that last year when they went to the NCAA tournament. Brooklyn just kind of has that playground feel. A lot of guys still like to just go out and play ball, and it's fun too. It's the fun, competitive aspect of it. You're not feeling like you're wasting your parents' money if you go out there and don't play well. You're just having fun. You're being competitive. and you're playing against guys who are the same as you, who want the same thing, who might fight you if you don't call a foul on them, or sometimes fight you if you do call a foul. Who knows? So I mean, yeah, that mentality is missing in a lot of sports nowadays, I feel like.
Yeah, you go back to participation trophies and all that stuff. I didn't have that when I was younger, and I was lucky. For me, when I was playing basketball and playing on the playground, they had a shot, and it had some handles. So the older kids liked when I played. Usually, the older kids didn't like the young kid playing.
Yeah, I mean, we always did the same thing growing up. I was kind of a quicker guy, and my pickup games kind of happened with the football, like two-hand touch or flag, and when we were little kids, and then obviously that turned to tackle on the playgrounds before teachers would stop you and yell at you for hitting kids. So when you find out you're the small guy and you have something to offer, that makes you feel good. It makes you fight for wanting to be out there. It makes you want to show off a little bit. That mentality is good for kids, I think. I mean, you've got to work for what you have and what you're going to get.
He's Matt Welch, DK Pittsburgh Sports. Mr. Welch, always a pleasure, man. And enjoy that bowl game, and hope to talk to you next week.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it.
All right, Matt Welch, DK Pittsburgh Sports. Always good stuff. Check him out over there at dkpittsburghsports.com. And I'm sure he'll have this interview and stuff over at his website. If you missed the interview, if you're just tuning in, it'll also be on our podcast, the website, 95thesportsfox.com. Just click BLS Podcast. And you can check out all the shows. Matlock does a great job of that. It's one thing he does a good job at.
Oh, thanks, Brandon. That one thing he does.
Nah, I'm just kidding, man. Don't forget you're a national award-winning producer.
Don't forget it.
Yeah, so you do more than just put the podcast up, right?
Do I? And I think you do a little more than just sit down behind the microphone and, blow up an onion sack. Yeah.
All right. Let's take a break. People probably think that Matlock and I, we fight when we go off the air. We're actually really good friends. Don't worry about us.
Yeah, believe
We're good to go. All right, 304-344-9704 to call the show. Join the conversation. Up next, we talk Lane Kiffin taking that Florida Atlantic job, as well as Tom Herman, Texas, and the Houston buyout, how this may get settled in a Lone Star State. Back up to this, Brennan Lowe Show, 95 The Sports Fox.
You're listening to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
Be a part of the show. Let the Valley hear your opinion.
That's just like your opinion, man.
On the top sports stories, locally or nationally, on The Brandon Lowe Show. Call 304-344-9704.
The Ben Maller Show.
I know I can't do it like Ben do it.
Ben Maller.
The Achilles heel of this Denver Bronco team has been what? The inability to run the football and the inability to consistently stop the run. As great as the Broncos defense has been, and they shut out Tennessee in the second half, the kryptonite continues to be the ability or the inability to stop the running game.
The Ben Maller Show.
Overnights on 95 The Sports Fox.
Lamar Jackson ended up hanging out with former Heisman winner Johnny Manziel in New York.
Johnny Manziel, he was telling me a lot of positive things. He came out of the room too, and he was just telling me, man, have fun in college. You only can stay there a certain amount of time.
It's like when you're a kid, right? And if you're at a Christmas party and you run into like a crazy uncle that's just had too much to drink because he has a drinking problem, and he's giving you life advice. At some point, your dad or mom comes over and makes an excuse so you can get out of the way.
Listen to The Brandon Lowe Show weeknights at 5 on 95 The Sports Fox.
Follow the show on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. You can also listen to The Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
All right, again, want to thank Matt Welch, DK Pittsburgh Sports, coming on talking Mountaineer football, getting you ready for that Russell Athletic Bowl, which takes place December 28th, Orlando, Florida, 5:30 Eastern Time on ESPN's to kick off. I don't know what I'm going to do, man, on that Wednesday. That's actually my sister's birthday, too. I can't tell you how many times the Mountaineers have played on my sister's birthday, and especially growing up as a kid, she just hated her birthday so much because my dad and I would want to watch the game while her birthday is going on. Now, we took care of her. Don't worry. We didn't forget her birthday, but every time my sister would hear that the bowl game's on her birthday, she just, again. Matlock, you didn't. That's one thing about not being a huge sports fan.
Yeah.
is that sports doesn't interrupt certain things like that.
No, it doesn't.
And as bad as that sounds, I like to consider myself a pretty loyal fan.
Yeah, obviously, yeah. It proves your commitment, if anything.
Now, again, we didn't forget her birthday or anything. We got her something nice. We got her football.
There you go. Go toss that around while we watch the game.
Yeah, we got her a football and a WU shirt to wear during the bowl game on her birthday. I mean, we thought about her.
Yeah.
Right?
Of course.
But I can't tell you how many times that's happened. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do because kickoff's at 5:30. Our show is going to be going on. By the time, I guess I'll make it, I guess I can record it or something, but I guess we'll be doing live updates or something.
Yeah.
During the game. But I'm going to be flying out of here once I get off the air. I even thought about taking it off. I actually thought about having someone filling in for me.
Now that's commitment as a fan.
I might have to look into that.
We could just give live updates.
Speaking of that, we saw something. I meant to mention this at the beginning of the show, but we had some things going on. Ed Roberts, who's the program director at WQBE, his son, he was telling us about a project that his son's does at Cross Lanes Christian School, and we're listening to it and such. And these kids and what they have accomplished at Cross Lanes Christian School with this high school basketball stuff with boys and girls has just been unbelievable. It's Matlock, if you're gonna look, it's Warriors. I'll tell them the website. It's Warriors without two S's. So you got Warrior, put the S there, sportsnetwork.wordpress.com. And you can go over to Warriors again, and it's WARRIORS, and then sports. Yeah, there it is, Warriors Sports Network. We're going to put it up on our website because the work these kids are doing with these basketball games is just remarkable. And Matlock and I were talking about how we went to school for the things they were doing. I had no idea. And look, I was right, WSN. And it's Warrior Sports Network, WSN. It's a student-run sports network that was founded last year. Well, it's this year, going into, or 2015. Two Cross Lanes Christian students, Aaron Nolan and Timothy, and I hope I don't say your last name
it's
wrong.
Zuspin.
But Zuspan?
Zuspin,
okay. WSN, I said it wrong. Matlock's looking at me like, what an idiot. But began as a small radio network in 2015, was just an audience of 10 listeners for select games, and it's growing. Hundreds of listeners, both video and audio streaming of every Cross Lanes Christian basketball and baseball game. WSN was founded with the purpose of allowing everyone an opportunity to watch or listen to every CLCS basketball or baseball game and bring glory to God through the process. And that is something we'll never lose sight of here at WSN, which is their mission statement here on their website. And I think we watched a couple of clips, and these kids are just doing everything. I mean, it's a professional. Everything is professional about it. They got the switchers, they got different camera angles, they got a before the game, pre-game show, they got an after, post-game show, they got commentators during the game, caller, play-by-play. They got, they can tell you the lineup, they got the scoreboard up. It looks extremely professional, and just want to take the time to thank Ed Roberts for bringing that to our attention, and also just to take the time to say congratulations to you guys for getting off the ground. I know you guys went through a lot to get this going, and just to give you guys kudos on what you guys do. I mean, we talk about athletes on this show all the time, young athletes just developing quicker and earlier and doing things. The minds that these kids have nowadays, and I sound old saying that, but I never thought ever that when I was in high school, or any time for that matter, before I really found out I want to be a broadcaster, I never thought about putting together a mass production and making a network. That's the type of things where you'll be working at NBC and Saturday Night Live and things like that, or ESPN or Fox Sports National. But kudos to them. You hear a father proud about something like that, and it just tugs at your heartstrings because, my son draws something awesome. He's only 6, and I get proud. I put it on the refrigerator. Ed's son's helping with this massive production that they started themselves, and just want to give them kudos. And we're going to try to get them on the show as well because I'm very intrigued by this. I want to bring them in. I don't care how old you are. If you're talented like that, you bring something to the table like that, you you deserve kudos. You deserve airtime. You deserve to tell your story and plug your network. So we're going to bring them on at some point. I know Ed was in a process of communicating with the principal over there, so we will have them on the show. I think we're going to get them live in the studio as well. So we'll have some of the kids, I think, that do some of the pregame and postgame stuff, the commentators, whoever wants to come up here and join us. I'll be happy to bring them in and talk about that. But definitely check that out. I want to give you that website one more time, too. We're going to put it on our website, too. Can you bring that up, Matlock? It's Warriors with one S, and then, you got Warriors and Sports together. So you got one S. So Warriors, and then PORTS network.wordpress.com. And you can check out all their stuff. They got contacts and archives. They got their staff, their sponsorships. You can watch, you can listen. It's just a tremendous thing they're doing over there. And I just want to recognize them and give them props. They certainly deserve it. Matlock was impressed. Matlock developed his own show and things at Marshall.
Yeah, but that was like 10 years after what these kids have done. I mean, that is so impressive. Just hearing the things that they've accomplished, at their age, that is remarkable. And if you have a passion for it, go for it. I love that. That's great to hear.
But, yeah, I mean, it's just cool. And we watched some of it today because when Ed was telling us about it, I was like, man, I got to go check this out. And I immediately went in there, and Ed gave me the website. And we sat through, like, 2 games, kind of watched different clips of it, different angles, just to kind of see, what the production is. And it's tremendous. So check it out. We probably, at some point, maybe this week, here soon, definitely we'll have those guys in the studio and stuff, and we'll pick their brains a little bit. Maybe we can learn something from them.
Exactly.
I'm sure I can.
Yeah.
It's a dog and pony show over here. We're not doing all the crazy stuff they're doing.
We get by.
Yeah. We got a little camera there that, we know how to set that up. But,
it looks good, and it sounds good, too.
All right, let's take our break. I meant to talk about this Kiffin thing, but I don't care. I'd much rather have talked about that anyway. It's great stuff. But look out for that, too. And be sure to visit that website. We'll put it up on our website, too. Show your support towards them, for sure. You called the show 304-344-9704. This is the Brandon Lowe Show, 95 to Sports Fox.
Can I kick it?
You're listening to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox. Be a part of the show. Let the Valley hear your opinion.
That's just like your opinion, man.
On the top sports stories, locally or nationally. On The Brandon Lowe Show, call 304-344-9704.
It's high school basketball season, and Basketball Friday Night in West Virginia is bringing you the latest from every corner of the Mountain State.
High school basketball, there are some rivalries tonight.
Join Ryan Epling and Coach Rick Maroon for the most up-to-date scoreboard and much more.
To beat Huntington St. Joe, who is 7-time state champ, just makes that victory so much better.
Join Basketball Friday night from 9 to midnight on WBES 95 The Sports Fox and online at basketballnight.com.
Lamar Jackson ended up hanging out with former Heisman winner Johnny Manziel in New York.
Johnny Manziel, he was telling me a lot of positive things. He came out of the room too, and he was just telling me, man, have fun in college. You only can stay there a certain amount of time.
It's like when you're a kid, right? And if you're at a Christmas party and you run into like a crazy uncle that's just had too much to drink because he has a drinking problem and he's giving you life advice. At some point, your dad or mom comes over and makes an excuse so you can get out of the way.
Listen to The Brandon Lowe Show weeknights at 5 on 95 The Sports Fox.
Follow the show on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. You can also listen to The Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
All right, hearing our new promo there. Matlock likes that.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome. I didn't know you'd put that together. That was great.
Usually, as of late, we've done our interviews and such, but couldn't let that go, right?
Oh, yeah, the old crazy uncle at the Christmas party. Can't forget about that guy.
Tom Herman now at Texas. Obviously, everybody knows that by now. And obviously, there's this contract through Houston. There's a buyout that Texas will have to pay. And that buyout is $2.5 million. Now, for most schools, that's still pretty expensive. For a school like Texas that has close to $1 billion in their athletic department or, their revenue, that's basically a tip. So, but the interesting thing is, Houston Athletic Director Hunter Yurachek, okay? He offered another option if the Longhorns want to take the top off the price. that option is come play us. Yurchak told reporters this week that he proposed home-and-home series in football and basketball, but Texas Athletic Director Mike Perrin apparently responded with a hard pass, choosing to pay the Cougars rather than play it. So in this instance, is this Texas because they're scared to play Houston, or is this Texas just showing that they're Texas and we're like, we'd rather play? Or, I'm sorry, pay. It's very Texas. It's very arrogant. Now, we took your coach. We're not going to give you a national spotlight type game in basketball and football. We'd rather just pay you off. Because also, if you look at it from Texas's perspective, the only team that would benefit in this if Houston would knock off Texas is Houston. If Texas loses to Houston, let's say Texas is having a pretty good season after the non-conference portion of their schedule, they're still going to go back and say, well, what about that Houston loss? So I can see where Texas stands with this. I would like to see this. I would love to see Texas and Houston play each other, especially in football, with Tom Herman leaving Houston for Texas. That'd be tremendous. But obviously Texas is not interested, and they're going to pay the $2.5 million. Matlock, you don't know much about the football stuff.
No.
Just from the outside perspective, what do you see? Why do you think Texas decided to just pay the money instead?
Because they can. Because they have it. They know they have that power well over a lot of other schools. It's a drop in the bucket to them. They know that they can do that, the problem will go away, and it's a fast way to solve the problem. It might not be the right way to do it, but it's the fastest way to do it.
Totally agree. I think Texas just wants rid of everything involved with the Houston situation. What this does also is year in of those home and home is reminding you that you took their coach. It's like, not per se, but if you took somebody's girlfriend or something and you go over the house for 2 straight years and have dinner and sit at the table with your ex-girlfriend and the guy who took your girlfriend. Yeah, but we paid for dinner. Yeah, this is fun. This is great.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the same thing, kind of. I mean, not really, you know what I mean? It's kind of perspective I could put it in everyday life. That's not fun for the guy that, the girlfriend's gone and there's the new guy. That's not fun for him. It's the same thing with Houston and Texas. But Houston wants it, though. That's the difference. He's just like, come play us. Come on. Bring it on. I'd much rather see him settle on the football field, to be honest. Especially as Texas can just pay that right now. They probably already paid it, but I'm just saying I would much rather see him settle on the football field for sure. I'm going to talk about this Kiffin situation tomorrow, I believe. I'm going to jump right into this Jim Harbaugh situation. Is rumored to be at the top of the list to replace Jeff Fisher in L.A. I got 2 articles from CBSSports.com, and both of these articles make good points. And some of the things I was talking about, especially with Coach last night on the show when he called in at the top of the show, a huge Michigan fan. His coffee mug was sitting back there when I got my coffee mug, and just kind of looked at it and said, well, where's Harbaugh going to end up? Kind of pondered. I wish we had some type of dream sound effect in the background.
Oh, me too. Some kind of trance. Yeah.
But I kind of looked at it and I'm thinking, that Michigan M, it stands for a lot. And Harbaugh stands for that university probably bigger than anybody that they've seen since Bo. So it would be tough if Jim Harbaugh does leave Michigan. It would be tough for me. I enjoy Harbaugh on the sideline for Michigan and Urban Meyer on the sideline for Ohio State. I think it's done wonderful and tremendous for not only the conference but for that game. But Jeff Fisher and how he's left the L.A. Rams. And I talk about L.A. being a very fickle town when it comes to sports teams. They certainly are. I mean, the Clippers are doing well. The Lakers, when they were down, they're doing all right this season. But you went because there were stars, there was something there. That's what basically L.A. teams are. You got Dodgers and things of that sort, and it's great, and they love it when they win. But it's more of a kind of an event. We asked Chad Lindbergh about that when he was in studio.
Yeah.
The actor, about, is that how L.A. is with sports teams? And he said, well, I don't know. I don't think. But if you look at it, that's why they go and watch the Lakers when Kobe is getting old and frail and can't play like Kobe was years ago. They're still going to see Kobe play. They're going to see Kobe play his last year. It's a show for them. And if you're not winning, you better have some type of superstar, some type of glam. That's just what LA is. That's the type of market. It's got Hollywood. It's got beaches. It's what everybody thinks that it is, right? When you think of it from the outside perspective. Obviously, you need a lot of money to live there. So, when you got a guy like Jeff Fisher who traveled from St. Louis with a team to L.A., they give him this extension. And then they go, well, it's been kind of tough. I mean, you look at what Fisher has done, right? Brutal beatdown. The last game, 42-14 loss to Atlanta Falcons. He's lost, 8 of 9 games, started 3-1. Underachieved with Jared Goff, their top draft pick. You know, Jeff Fisher has really ran this franchise already, this new quote-unquote L.A. team, which the Chargers are probably on their way to L.A. as well here soon. Already into the ground in year one. They're losing attendance, ticket sales, and everything else. So why not bring in a guy like Harbaugh? Yes, he has trouble in front offices. Yes, he butts heads with people. But this quote they use in CBS Sports, his temperamental, grainy approach that no one can get along with for more than one season, perfect. The city of the Real Housewives, Kobe Bryant and Kanye. Not getting along with people isn't just okay. It could be a mark you belong in L.A. That's true. Harbaugh is more L.A. than we think. And let's not forget Jared Goff. Let's go back to him. How many quarterbacks has Harbaugh developed? Just off the top of my head, what's Kaepernick doing nowadays? Because I'm pretty sure that Harbaugh took Kaepernick to a Super Bowl. Kaepernick. Oh, yeah, there was that guy, too, at Andrew Luck at Stanford. He's pretty good. So I'm telling you, this would be great. Now, they're going to probably have to pay him $15 million a year. He already makes $9 million. And we'll get to those two really quick after this break. We'll tell you why he possibly won't leave Michigan for L.A. All right, we're going to take our last break. And when we join us, their last segment. It's already Tuesday, right?
Believe it or not.
I don't know why I said already. I wish it was Friday. All right, back after this. Brandon Lowe Show, 95 to Sports Fox.
You're listening to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox. Be a part of the show. Let the Valley hear your opinion.
You know, that's just like your opinion, man.
On the top sports stories, locally or nationally, on The Brandon Lowe Show. Call 304-344-9704.
This is the Dan Patrick Show.
Just like to say that y'all rock, man.
It feels like Jerry Jones wants him to play. He won't let this go. Instead of just giving Dak Prescott all the confidence, staying with him, he keeps the door open there for Tony Romo. Here's Jason Garrett after the loss on did he consider putting Romo in.
Did you consider putting Tony in the game?
No.
Dan Patrick.
Mornings 9 to noon on 95 The Sports Fox.
Jim Rome, only on CBS Sports Radio.
Villanova head coach Jay Wright joining us. Jay, the morning after the win, your resume is different, your career bio is different, but did you feel any differently as a coach and as a person?
You know, in 2009, we went to the Final Four, and you make some decisions, and you think they're going to work, and they don't work. When you win a national championship, and it works, and you feel like, okay, I know what we got to do here. So it definitely gives you some confidence in your decision-making.
The Jim Rome Show, noon to 3 on 95 The Sports Fox.
Follow the show on Twitter at WBES Brandon Lowe. You can also listen to The Brandon Lowe Show on your TuneIn app or at 95thesportsfox.com. Now, back to The Brandon Lowe Show on 95 The Sports Fox.
All right, last segment, Tuesday's show, and we left you at the last break with Jim Harbaugh heading to L.A. We told you why he'd be a good fit at L.A., and not to mention the things he did with San Francisco. Everywhere he's gone, he's been successful. He loves projects. He turns teams that weren't competitive into competitors. He takes them to the promised land. He hasn't done that with Michigan yet because the promised land for a program like Michigan is the national championship. Now, he is playing the Orange Bowl this year. He'll take on Florida State. Now, it's not like the guy's had some bad years, right? Back-to-back 10-2 seasons. He's on his way. at Michigan. He's back at home, a school he played quarterback for. And I think that's the main reason. I look through this CBSSports.com article, and they run through these things like Harbaugh already makes NFL money. He makes $9 million. He made $9 million this year. Highest paid football coach. He's going to go back to making $7 million per season through 2021, beginning next year. Now, Jeff Fisher made $7 million a year. It was among the NFL's highest paid coaches. But let's not forget the Rams owner is one of the richest, if not the richest owners in the league. So if they want to pay him, $15 million a year, he certainly can get that. They're going to pay for it. And that's another thing, too, is that front office is so hungry for wins. That's another reason why I think they wouldn't mind a guy like Harbaugh, who's very hard-headed, who sometimes butts heads with people, especially in the front office. They want to win. They've moved this team to L.A. They're going to build a new stadium. They want their fans to be there. So to bring fans, what do? You win ball games. And how do you start also getting the fans back and getting them interested back into your football team? You fire the guy that's put him in a dumpster, and you bring over a guy like Harbaugh, who has a very big personality, who can bring back some spark with the LA Rams. Now, I'm not saying, again, that he's going to get the job or he's going to leave Michigan, because, again, my top reason for not leaving is he's home. He's at Michigan. He gets paid $9 million a year. He already makes NFL money. The other thing, too, that they've mentioned here, he's already coached in the NFL. A lot of college football coaches, they go to the NFL, they come back, that's it. They're not going to go back to the league. I don't think that's one of the main reasons. They say college football is a better long-term fit for a style than the NFL. I don't think that's one of the reasons either. I think simply being at Michigan and the goal, like Coach said, trying to win a national championship for his school, I think is the ultimate goal for Coach Harbaugh. Once he accomplishes that, I think he's open. But that's the only reason I see him staying, is simply because he's at Michigan. He's already making good money. But again, Harbaugh, as we know, is a nomad. And he's only stayed at, I think the most he's stayed is 4 years, everywhere he's gone. He's been there 2. You're halfway there. It kind of sounds like a Bon Jovi song. Oh! There it is. That's Michigan right now. We got each other. It's for you, Michigan fans. Living on a prayer. That's them, man. There's no other song that can define Michigan fans right now. Harbaugh stays 4 years, max. He's 2 years through. You're halfway there. You're living on a prayer. You're hoping he stays. All right, let's do our Let's Get Weird news.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
News. A Texas zoo has set up a gift registry for a orangutan couple who are expecting a baby. That's right. It's not orangutan. It's orangutan. A lot of people don't say that right. Cameron Park Zoo, I finally got something right. And Waco is requesting several items on the Target registry, including the movies Zootopia, Stuffed Animals, a musical crib mobile, SpongeBob SquarePants, Bubble Bath, books, and Dolly Parton CD. Hold on.
Yeah.
Why is there a Dolly Parton CD in there?
Apparently they like Dolly Parton.
Okay.
Yeah.
So check that out. Coming out of Waco, Texas. No surprise there. All right, that's our Let's Get Weird news.
Let's get weird, buddy. Let's get weird.
News. Computer. All right, I want to thank Matt Welch, DK Pittsburgh Sports, coming on talking Mountaineer football. Tomorrow we'll have Greg Peterson. We'll also talk some college basketball. Greg Peterson. We'll have one every Wednesday. And stick around, too. We'll probably have those Cross Lanes Christian kids, too, talking about that great network they put together over there as well. This has been the Brandon Lowe Show, 95 to Sports Fox. Good night.
Good. In your face, Charlie Murphy. Good. Shoot the J. Shoot it! Shoot it! Shoot it!
The Brandon Lowe Show, weekday evenings at 5 on WBES